Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today what I'm going to do is go through a story, and a story that we've heard multiple times before, I'm sure. And the story is of Samson. So this story of Samson that I kind of want to speak on is one that's going to take a few, like, let's just say episodes, I guess. I'm not sure how many, but it's not going to be long. I would say 3 to 4. But the reason why I'm doing that is because firstly, I don't want the videos to be that long. But secondly, I want to be able to get in all the detail about the life of Samson that I possibly can to portray and explain essentially the depth of what was happening here to the best that I can by the leading of the Holy Spirit. And so in any case, I'm going to start off by speaking about his birth. Firstly, guys, I can't lie, it's a crazy book. Let's just rather say the stories that are in it is really crazy. People have been acting really crazy in this, in the book of Judges, according to me. And it's interesting because you actually see what happens when people are not ruled by God. And I think for me, that was kind of the focus of the book, outside of the many other things that I felt was really just insane. Anyway, so we're looking at Samson, right? And, contrary to popular belief, we normally picture Samson as this really strong guy, and his strength was in his hair. And we picture him in this temple with these pillars and pushing the pillars and everyone inside of it passing away, essentially. And that's kind of what we picture him to be, this big, strong guy. And I think reading these pieces of scripture actually reminded me and made me rethink certain things about him in terms of his character. Not that I haven't read it before, but it's just in depth from the start, like from his birth. I think certain things, there was some sort of red flags, right? Anyway, so we're going to start at chapter 13, Judges chapter 13. And I'm not going to go through the entire chapter or read the entire chapter, but I'll just give you some sort of highlights. And like I said, I don't want this videos to be long, so I'm going to cut it short, probably just go through a chapter per episode or whatever, and take it from there essentially. But anyway, so as I was saying, we're starting at Samson's birth. And what's funny is that they actually don't mention the name of Samson's mother, but I think she played a profound role in all of this. And specifically also his father, which I found to be an interesting character as well. So as we see in chapter 13, we'll see that Samson's mother was approached by an angel who said that, and by the way, his mother was barren, right? She couldn't bear children. And this angel of the Lord then appeared to her and told her, look, you're going to be a child, and he's going to be set apart for God. And what you need to do is you shouldn't be drinking any wine or fermented drinks, so on and so forth, because you're going to have to make sure that the baby is kept a certain way for him to be used or whatever, right? Those are the standards. And this is what I ask of you. She then proceeds to go to her husband, Manoah, and tell him all of this. And once she tells him all of this, he goes and he asks the Lord, listen, Lord, can you please bring this angel of the Lord back to us so that the angel can tell us how to bring Samson up, right, in the things of you, the exact way you want us to do that. Now, it's interesting because, I don't know how much detail they got in that day and age when it came to what God instructed them to. Yes, there were details when it came to maybe like Leviticus and all of those things, or like even the Ten Commandments type of things. But I don't personally know what kind of detail they received directly from God. And so when he says, please bring your angel back, so that he tells us exactly how we should bring this child up. I don't know if he meant like all the exact details. Tell him this, tell him that, tell him this, tell him that. Or don't do this with him, don't do that with him. But of course, the angel told, Samson's mother exactly what he felt she needed to know, which was don't drink, don't drink any fermented drink, and don't eat anything unclean as well. Anyway, so outside of that, he still wanted the angel to come back to then stipulate what it is they need to do in order to raise this child. Anyway, the angel of God then comes back, but then meets Samson's mother in the field. She was busy. But the husband, Manoah, was not there. So in any case, she proceeds to call him. He comes, and then they have this conversation. So he proceeds to then ask the angel, are you the one who talked to my wife? And then he was like, oh, the angel was like, I am. Manoah then asked, when your words, and this is verse 12, by the way, it says, when your words are fulfilled, what is to be the rule for the boy's life and work? Verse 13, the angel of the Lord answered, your wife must do all that I have told her. She must not eat anything that comes from the grapevine, or drink any wine or other fermented drink, nor eat anything unclean. She must do everything I've commanded her. So exactly the same thing he told the wife, which was Samson's mother. So essentially the angel is just reiterating himself, right? And what's interesting to me is sort of this consistent confirmation that Manoah required, even though his wife said certain things to him. So it's almost like he didn't really believe what she said, but also he wanted to see certain things for himself. Now I can understand, but I feel like during that day and age, it was normal for them to believe in spiritual beings and things to have appeared to them, etc., etc. But I feel like he just was a bit doubtful in that moment, or in those moments, and just required further confirmation, as some of us all do. But anyway, so after that, Manoah then asks this angel to then stay with him and eat with him, essentially, because he said he has prepared a young girl. And maybe it's just my Bible version, right? But it says here, the angel replied to him to Manoah's invitation by saying, even though you detain me, I will not eat any of your food, but if you prepare a burnt offering, offer it to the Lord. In brackets, it says, Manoah did not realize that this was an angel of the Lord. So for me, that's weird, because I thought that this was said to him in the beginning when his wife came to me and said, look, an angel of the Lord came to me, appeared to me, and told me that I'm going to have a son, this and that, the other thing. And especially after he also asked God, can you please bring this person back, this servant of you back, to tell me also, so that I'm present, so that I hear it, so that I can be sure. And this person then proceeds to come and he asks the questions. And because remember, he says, he asked the angel of the Lord, he said, are you the one who appeared to my wife? And he proceeds to say yes. And the wife already knew that this was an angel of the Lord. It seemed that he required further convincing. But anyway, so at that point, like the Bible is literally saying, he did not even realize that this was an angel of the Lord, which is weird to me because of the conversations. So this man already, to me, seems a bit interesting, and maybe he's not following or understanding what's going on, or maybe he's just not believing it. Anyway, and then Manoah then proceeds to inquire by this angel of the Lord to say, listen here, what is your name, so that we may honor you, and what you have said to us comes true. And he replied, the angel replied, why do you ask my name? It is beyond understanding. Manoah then took the goat and grain offering, sacrificed it on a rock to the Lord, and the Lord did an amazing thing while Manoah and his wife watched. And this amazing thing was that as the flame blazed up, this offering flame that they wanted to sacrifice to the Lord, as the flame blazed up from the altar, this is verse 20 by the way, toward heaven, the angel of the Lord ascended in the flame. This sounds like special effects to me, but obviously this guy was then surprised by all of this. And then it says, seeing this, Manoah and his wife fell with their faces to the ground. When the angel of the Lord did not show himself again to Manoah and his wife, Manoah realized that this was the angel of the Lord. So it's not only after all of those things that this man finally realized that this was actually an angel of the Lord. Even after all of those things, even after all of that back and forth with him and the Lord to ask him to bring this individual back. And notice it doesn't say that the wife was also then convinced. The wife was already convinced, but it required further convincing for Manoah to actually realize this was an angel of the Lord. And then Guys, this is just the first chapter. And then it says in verse 22, Manoah then comes with his fearfulness and his contemplation, or his anxiety, I would say. And out of the blue, I can't even fathom, let me say, I can't even understand where he came with this anxiety all of a sudden, where he came with that. But it says that in chapter 2, in verse 22, after he realized that this was an angel of the Lord, he says, we are doomed to die. He says this to his wife. It says, we have seen God. And his wife answers, mind you, the wife is the person that seems here to be the sane one in this situation, where the wife is just assuring him to say, no, listen, this is an angel of the Lord. This is what he said. This is what we need. Da, 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 da. And like I said here, the husband is all of a sudden, Manoah is like, wait, this is insane. We are going to die because we saw the Lord. And his wife is like, if the Lord had meant to kill us, he would not have accepted a burnt offering and grain offering from our hands, nor shown us all these things, or now told us this. And what she's referring to is obviously the fact that she needs to be a child, and that the child still needs to grow up, and she needs to do all of these things that the angel said. But it's almost like the Manoah was so confused and so anxious and jumping between believing and not believing, belief and disbelief essentially, that even though the angel of the Lord appeared before him, he wasn't convinced that this was an angel of the Lord. And even though the angel of the Lord told them that they would have a child, even though the angel of the Lord ascended essentially into heaven via this flame on the sacrifice, he was still in serious distraught about it. And all I can say is that it's giving anxiety. And you can tell that it's rooted in the lack of faith, I would say. Lack of foundation, strong foundation. But I can't always speculate. There might have been other things happening. But his wife at least reassured him to say, listen here, I mean, I feel like we would have been dead long time ago if we were supposed to be dead, especially if we saw the Lord, right? Even though it is an angel of the Lord. But then it says in verse 24, after this, the woman gave birth to a boy and named him Samson. He grew and the Lord blessed him, and the Spirit of the Lord began to stir him while he was in Mahane Dan, between Zorah and Eshtaol. So that's where he was born. And mind you, this was the circumstances surrounding his birth. This was sort of what was happening, that back and forth, that anxiety, that lack of faith, I would say, that unbelief, that feeling of despair or fearfulness, and let's just say distrust of what was told to them by the Lord, essentially. And this was sort of the circumstances and the emotions surrounding the birth of Samson. But guys, that's where I'm going to stop for today, because I think that was already enough. And of course, this has been a long video already. So yeah, I'm going to stop it here, and then I'm going to continue to the next part of Samson's life. And so yeah, anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned for episode number 2. And I hope that you guys have a blessed day further, have a great week further, and God bless.